By 2050, freight will be more in the emission contribution than passenger transport. So at the current pace, we see a doubling of emissions by 2050. So what can companies do? Well, we've defined it as smart freight leadership. So companies can do 3 actions. First, they can report their emissions and set targets. People think, well, that's obvious, companies are already doing so. Not quite. In 2015, we did a survey of 100 companies. Big multinationals should really do it. And only 33% were reporting emissions in their annual reports. And now we're heading closer to 60. So we are seeing a change in a very rapid uptake in reporting. Setting science-based reduction targets, but that needs to happen. And reducing emissions is by implementing solutions as a buyer, so if you're H&M or an IKEA, or as a supplier, that can be a Maersk or a trucking company. And collaboration is the third one. If you're a true leader, you don't just look at what happens within your company or your supply chain, you're looking at how can you use your power as a brand, as a big company, to make change across policy, across your sectors. So reducing emissions. 5 options. First, you can reduce the carbon content of energy. So you can electrify the trucks, you can use cleaner diesel, you can look at LNG, CNG, and you can, of course, managing your fuel as part of it. Second is improving the fleet energy efficiency, so using cleaner and more efficient technology. Think about lowering resistance tires, better aerodynamics. But it can also include a transport management system, making use of ICT, so you can improve the driver's behavior and change your routing later. How your fleet is operated is part of that, and the maintenance of fleet. And in particular in developing countries, fleet maintenance is the single thing that is hurting the efficiency of fleets. Next one is increasing asset utilization, so optimizing loads. Now even have software that allows companies to put packaging inside their trucks in such a way that you make the best use of your trucks, but also that you start matching the type and size of truck to deliver your goods to your customers. So you may actually be able to use smaller trucks to go more frequently, or to use one bigger truck and you go once a week instead of 3 times a week with smaller trucks. That's the type of idea. Load consolidation, asset sharing is happening more and more. We see Procter & Gamble and Tupperware working together. Procter & Gamble has heavy shampoos. They can't fill their truck because they've hit the weight limit. Tupperware has got all these boxes, plastic. They've got the truck full and it doesn't weigh anything. By combining the two, you have the best combination of weight and truck fillage, and they're all both going from Belgium to Greece. So you see that type of collaborations happening more and more between basically non-competing companies who are looking how can we put this together. And they're saving tens of percentages in, I think this one was 10% of emissions and costs, because it's a combination. And then logistics centers and warehouse management. The industry is changing. You're getting more and more players really investing in logistics warehouses that can be used by many, rather than every company having their own warehouses. Optimizing freight transport mode is really about modal shifts, so taking freight from the trucks onto rail and barges, or in urban freight trying to get more freight into bikes, and in Amsterdam into little boats. I see the DHL boat there. Multimodal optimization is about using the right combination, because even if you use a train or a ship, you're still going to have the first and last mile delivered somehow by truck, so it's impossible to eliminate it. But how do you make the match? And synchromodality means, when you go home from your work, you might think, do I take the car, do I take the metro, do I take the bus, do I take a taxi, do I take a combination? You have the option at that moment to decide. For freight, that is coming. That you can, that flexibility of which combination of modes you might use at that given moment, given traffic, weather, price, conditions, it might work. And the last one is then reducing the freight demand. And this is about how do you restructure your supply chain? How do you start standardizing modules and boxes so you can bind your stuff with that of others? 3D printing. Adidas is now printing their soles of the sports shoes in Germany instead of having them made somewhere in Asia and then shipped to Germany, which massively reduces freight demand. Dematerialization, so making, thinking about what materials you use, and of course customer behavior. This is where, if you're looking at trucking fleets, they have the most potential to directly influence efficiency.